Yo, YouTube, what do? What's going on, guys and gals, and anything in between? I just want to say hey and what up. I'm your boy, Jason D. Today, we have got a Taramps Smart 3 power control system, 1 or 2 ohms at 3,000 watts. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never seen another amp that gives you the same power at 1 or 2 ohms resistance. I think that's pretty badass. And any of you who have been following the rise of Taramps' popularity over the last few months or even a year or so know that this is a Brazilian amp that claims to do some spectacular numbers for small packages and cheap prices, and the dyno test proves it does do what it says they do. Their 3,000 watt claim, not only have I seen it hit the 3,000 watts, but I have seen it far exceed those 3,000 watts, and at the same time it just blow it completely out of the water. So let's get to it. Let's get it unboxed. I've already had this open, so we're gonna. I don't have to break the seal here, but I'm gonna open it up. And as you can see, the plastic is already gone that this is wrapped in. This does come packaged with some shrink wrap type plastic around the outside of it. To me, it feels like a thin polycarbonate. I do work in the plastics industry, so that kind of. It's what it feels like to me. But one thing I noticed is that there's nothing else in here. There's no foam, there's no padding, there's no packing peanuts or anything like that. So it does concern me a little bit how far these things travel without any real protection around them. But I've got a Taramps 800x4 that I've been using for about 4 months now to run my highs, and I haven't had any problems with it. So with that said, let's take a look and see what's actually inside. I can tell you now that this looks like a cool bass knob. You're like, yeah, bass knobs. Well, for one, bass knobs are terrible, and the first thing you should do when you get a bass knob is just get rid of it, because for daily driving use, you really don't want to have that bass knob. You want to keep that control down, and you just don't want to blow those subs out of the water. If you want to get a bass knob, that's great, especially if you're going into competition, but that's about the only time you really need it. So look, my Taramps Smart 3 has a twin. So anyway, I brought this one in to show you guys because this one actually is still wrapped in the actual plastic that it came in. I kind of was wrong. This is probably LDPE, but it's some really thick LDPE. Doesn't really change anything though. Nothing's really different between the two, other than this one is just wrapped in some plastic, like I said. So, but back to where we were a minute ago. What this is, it's not a bass knob. If you get up on here close, and if my camera will focus, I've got the Galaxy S20 Plus, and it turns out that it's got some close-up focus issues. But what you'll see is that there's a light for the on, clipping and protection. So what this is just kind of a dummy light to let you know, hey, dummy, you big dummy, that you're clipping or that you've gone into protection mode. So if your amp suddenly shuts off, it'll let you know that. So I've got 2 of these, one of each, or one for each amp. I'm going to mount them in on my dash. Once I get the build complete, you guys will see that. Any of you that are currently following me on YouTube or on Facebook, you'll know that I'm working on an F-150 build for myself. What's going in there is 4 DC audio level 3 10s. I've got a massive monster box built that's going in the back of the where the back seat was. There's no longer a back seat back there, and I've got a digital gauge for each battery showing the readout of the voltage at the battery. I'd like to see, so far with the audio pipe 2000 watt amp that I had, I never really saw much voltage drop. I never saw it drop down below 13.5, which is actually pretty good. I believe these amps are both rated at 3K at 13.6, so just a little bit low, but that's on a stock alternator. It's a 110 amp alternator, and at the time I was running an audio pipe 1800 watt mono block. I was running a Rockford Fosgate 600 by 5. The sub out channel was running to 1 sub at 4 ohms, and then the other 4 channels were running to a sound bar that I built out of some DS18 speakers in the back, and then I had the Taramps 800 by 4 as well, and I still never saw it drop below 13.5. But in preparation of installing these 2 mini beasts along with my 800 by 4, soon to be upgraded to a 1200 by 4, I do have an upgraded alternator on the way. Obviously, I've already got the big 3 upgrade, but now it's and I've got a second battery that's mounted in my truck box that I run all of my amplifiers off of. But now I've got a 250 amp alternator that will be here hopefully tomorrow, and will get installed this weekend along with the box and the speakers. So let's go ahead and start pulling this thing out and see what we've got inside of here. I mean, it's pretty good size amp. It's bigger than the 800 by 4, but still for 3,000 watts, it's pretty freaking small. I mean, I've got a pretty good size hand. I'm 6'2", 400 pounds. I'm not a little guy, so you can see it's bigger than my hand, but not a whole lot bigger. But it's got some heft to it. So let's see what's inside the box. Other than that, looks like we've got a warranty card. Got a couple of technical assistance pamphlets or little whatever single sheets. There's no manual in here like there was with my 800 by 4. And in one of the 2, I did open it up and it had a Taramps sticker in it. So, if you're the kind who likes to show off the with stickers what you have in your vehicle, then, you get a little bonus there. I do. But, I've got security lights and a camera out front of my house, and I, knock on wood, I live in a decent neighborhood. So let's see what all this thing has as far as technology goes. Looks like we've got not 1, but 2 smart cooler fans integrated and built in. These are a 0 gauge input terminals here for power and ground. That's something that here in a minute we are going to put to the test, because something that I saw in a video was that it seems that these kind of have a hard time taking a 0 gauge wire ferrule anyway. And I don't know about you guys, but I've really grown to like the use of the wire ferrule and the heat shrink. But this cable that I have here gives us the option of testing both. So there's a nice looking railed end, and then here's a nice looking end with a wire ferrule on it. It's kind of coming out from underneath the heat shrink a little bit. That's what was running my audio pipe 1800 watt, and it was kind of crooked. So then let's look at the controls over here. There's definitely no shortage of controls on this amplifier. However, we've got a single in and a single out. So it looks like this only accepts one USB plug coming into it, but then it apparently lets you slave out to the bootstrap, daisy chain, whatever you want to call it, to a secondary amp, which I'm going to do, or which I have, but I'm not going to do. I've got 2 sub-outs on my deck, so I'm going to run each one of the amplifiers themselves. So then we get into the knobs here. We've got a gain knob. Looks like it goes from 4 to 0.2. Which, by the way, gain's not a volume setting. It's a way to match the voltage of your inputs coming out of your radio to what the amp is seeing. We've got a high pass and a low pass crossover. The high pass goes from 10 to 90, and then 90 to that 10,000 for the low pass. We've got a frequency, bass boost frequency. You can boost the bass anywhere from 35 to 55 hertz. That's something that, you know, as a daily driver, you really want to keep that off. If you use it wisely and use it sparingly. I know that the 15-inch subs that I'm running off of these, combined, their total rated RMS is 1,800 watts, and I'm running 3,000 watts to them. So I'm definitely going to keep that bass boost down as much as I can. And then there's the actual boost itself. It goes from 0 to 10 decibels. And then we are over here at the speaker inputs, or outputs, that is. Do believe these are 8 gauge. Looks like they shouldn't have any problem fitting 8 gauge wires. Again, that's something we're going to be putting to the test when I go to hook up my 8 gauge wires to it. So I don't know if you've seen any of the dynos videos of this amp, but this does light up as you as it plays, and the harder it hits, the more power you're getting to it, the more red it lights up, the more of these little dashes light up. And so, yeah, I mean, all in all, guys, I think it's a really good looking amp. It's a smart amp. So from what I understand of the smart technology, and I'm sure someone's going to explain it better than me, so don't throw out those nasty ass comments talking about, oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's just from what I understand. It recognizes the voltage that's coming in, and kind of compares it with the volume that the radio's, the volume level that the radio has, the way you've got the bass boost set up, how much power you're demanding from it based on how much current you're actually being able to pull and draw to it, and if it goes below its recommended current, it will automatically kick the amp off, or if it goes above, it'll automatically kick the amp off. I know it's something like that, and it's designed to keep the amp from being blown, which, if you've ever had an amp blow on you, 1 minute you're bumping and happy as can possibly be as a pig in shit, and the next thing you know, you're ready to stab someone in the face or bawl your eyes out, whichever one works best for you. But there you have it, guys. I will do a part 2 of this video once I get the both the amps installed and get them hooked up to my subs, and we'll do an actual testing video of it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those notifications so you see when the next video is coming out, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks a lot, guys, and see you next time. So if you're watching this video and it seems like things are a little bit out of order, what you will find is that I had signed off on this video and said goodbye before I had had a chance to do one of the main reasons I actually shot this video, which was really to take a look at whether or not a zero gauge ferrule is going to fit into these zero gauge inputs, which, as you can see, even though this ferrule does, yes, have a spot in it, a divot, from where it was hooked into a 120 amp fuse, it's still pretty round for the most part, except in that area. So if this was going to work, it should pretty well slip right in, or at least get close. Now, I do have some wire sticking out, which might be causing a little bit of this, but to me, I need to find a way so I can set this down. I hate turning this on the side like that, but sorry, guys. I'm going to try and find a way to use two hands here, because I think that no, I thought maybe if it wasn't for the little bits of wire that I have kind of sticking out over the edge of the ferrule, that it might actually take that zero gauge ferrule, but it seems as though it's exactly the same size as a zero gauge ferrule. So it does take a 4 all the way down to a 4 gauge up to a 0 gauge. Now, I mean, you do have the option of the braided bird's nest look, and you can kind of try and squeeze that down as tight as possible, and maybe that'll work to slide in there. But look, I mean, it's going to go in there, yes, but it's going to look like shit. And it's not really going to take the whole wire. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use a 4 gauge to 0 gauge reducer, which I've got a couple of. Something that right now you can get them on skyhighcaraudio.com. They've got a lot of great equipment and a lot of great accessories to go along with things, but eventually it's something that you will be able to get on my website, subsonicwaves.com. It's not built yet. It is in the process, though. And things like this is something that I will definitely carry. So, yeah, I think that I really, my thoughts on it, everything looks really good. I'm really excited to see the performance of it. As I've stated, I've already seen the dyno videos of it, so I kind of have an idea of what to expect out of it. I am a little disappointed, though, that the 0 gauge inputs aren't really true 0 gauge inputs, which means that even if I do run a 4 gauge to 0 gauge reducer, I am getting a 0 gauge wire and all the power that does allow for running from the battery to the amplifier. But as soon as it hits that amplifier, it has to throttle down to a 4 gauge reduced size. So that is a little disappointing, but $300 for 3,000 watts. It's got built-in fans, and it actually does what it says it does. I mean, I guess you beggars can't be choosers. And I do wish that was a bass knob, even though I know I warned against it in the beginning of the video. I'm not going to lie, I'd use it if I had it. So, I don't know. Like I said, if you're seeing this out of order, I actually came back and shot this, and I'm gonna do a little bit of cutting and splicing to get this into the middle of the video. But I wanted you guys to see that. That's something that was really, really important to me, and I had that burning question. So, hope this helped you guys out. Okay guys, so here's kind of the moment you're waiting for, that everybody's waiting for during the unboxing, and that is to see the equipment in live action. So as you can see, we've got the two Taramps Smart 3K amplifiers hooked up. You can see I did use the 4 gauge to 0 gauge reducers. I still have to go back in and clean one of them up. I didn't get the heat shrink quite right on there. Actually, I think what happened was it was a little too long. I had to shorten it down some. But as you can see, they're both hooked up, and I know they have some nifty lights on them that you can't really see here during the daylight. But we're going to take that inside the truck now and take a look at the Protect clipping lights. So as you can see, the lights are on now. All that's showing is that the amplifiers are actually on and working. If they were clipping, there would be a yellow flashing light, and if they were in protect mode, they would be in red. When you start the vehicle for the first time, or turn it on for the first time, each time you'll see that the lights do cycle through, just letting you know that the amplifier is turning on. And so let's get a little listen. And I'm sorry, it's some copyright free bass music, so it's not super. And remember, we're here grading the amps themselves, not grading the build of the box. I know that I did get an F on my box because I missed some crucial bracing in there. I've built tons of small boxes for, smaller bass systems, for 10s, for 12s, for, just your daily driver average use. But nothing that, nothing like what I built here, and nothing like something that was going to a competition. So the bracing, I underestimated the power of sound waves, and the bracing is not good enough, so you can hear the box rattle. But you can see how well the amps power those subs. Those subs are the level 3 DC Audio 15s. They are rated at 900 watts RMS or 1800 watts peak. And I've got 3,000 watts going to each set of 2. So RMS, we're looking at 1,800 watts. I'm overpowering them by 1,200 watts, and they take it all day long. The subs are phenomenal. I couldn't be happier with the subs themselves. I am going to build a new box. I've already got it designed. I do have someone with a little more experience than I have that's going to do a final approval on the box before I actually begin building it.